Good Tuesday morning to you. It's the 26th of April, the 116th day of 2022, with 249 days left in the year. All right, this is a great time on the Paul W. Smith Show. We don't get to do it enough when we have two incredible experts in the studio. And I'm going to give you the phone number before I even introduce them, because I want you to write it down, and I want you to start calling in if you have any kind of a pest control issue, because we have the pest solution here in this studio, absolutely free of charge for you. So the number to call in and be heard and ask your question is 800-859-0957. 800-859-0957, which works out to be 800-859-0WJR. And we've got Shep with us, Mark Shepardigian, an urban entomologist who serves as Vice President of Technical Services for Rose Pest Solutions of Troy. He's become well-known both locally and nationally within the pest management industry, a proud graduate of Michigan State University. Shep, it's been too long.
It has been too long. It's good to be back.
Very good to have you here. And then Mark Vanderwerp, the youngster of the crowd, younger than all of us. I mean, by a few years.
Significantly.
Yeah. He's the manager of education and training for Rose Pest Solutions, of course, the oldest pest management company in the U.S., and he's based out of Rose's Troy corporate office, where he oversees e-learning content, conducts face-to-face training for all the new field employees, educates the public on current pest management issues, blah, 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 all of that stuff.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Great to be here, Paul.
And it's great to have you here. And I'll just come clean on this. I am a paying customer of Rose Pest Solutions. I'm in some kind of a plan, and the guys are coming soon. They send out a postcard and say, we'll be coming for your next appointment. So they're coming out. We've had them working for us for years and been very pleased with it, because we live right on a golf course, so there are some special issues and problems. Nobody has solved the issue of birds at my house who insist on creating a nest over my front door and my back door, which makes it one of those difficult moments when you step out. You step lively and quickly, because you never know what might come out around that nest. I'm not going to get any more specific than that, but I don't know why these birds love right over our doors. Do you have any idea? This is not a pest problem, but...
Oh, no. You certainly don't know what the bird is. Odds-on favorite.
Mourning dove.
It's a mourning dove.
And
there we
they
go.
have several, not litters, I don't know what you call it, but I mean...
Clutches.
Clutches?
It's a clutch of eggs.
I'm waiting for them to, okay, go ahead, sit on them. All right, okay, the birds are gone. Next day, they were back, or somebody else said, oh, that looks like a pretty good nest. And there was another clutch, and another one after that.
So do you sweep down the nests?
I have not. I can't bring myself to do that.
Get a stick and do it. Every morning, just knock whatever it is. They'll get
whatever
tired.
they'll get tired of rebuilding,
and they'll go away. Yes.
All right. Okay. Any questions you might have, now would be the time to call. 800-859-0957. 800-859-0WJR. I'm wondering, since these kids are complaining about how cold it is, does a cold spring impact the pest world? Are we better off? Is it going to kill some of the annual pests, or at least slow them down? Shep or Mark, which one wants to take it? Mark?
Well, yeah, I can jump in on that. So a lot, obviously the weather is closely tied to what the insects do, but it's pretty hard, even if you get a late freeze, to really lay the smack down on the insect population. So they've just survived a winter. This is nothing, Paul. It's getting balmy out there. They're fine.
Yeah, it's not going to affect them in a bad way.
And usually when we when we end up with great big populations, it would be a perfect storm to make that happen. So you got to have lots of things in place to get a big boom of given pests. But it only takes one knockdown issue to bring things all back to level. So level is what we expect.
All right, let's get right to the callers so that everybody's busy at this hour of the morning. We don't want them to wait too long. Do I just tell you, Brian, and you'll punch it up? Okay, Marilyn is in Woodhaven on the Paul W. Smith Show on WJR with Rose Pest Solutions, Shep, and Mark. Hi, Marilyn.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi. I have a problem with, just a new problem, 2 days, with tiny little ants in my kitchen. And I noticed just one in the bathroom, which is kind of far from the kitchen. And are they from the same source? And what do I do to get rid of those little tiny things?
Tiny ants in the kitchen, boys.
So this is almost undoubtedly the odorous house ant you're up against here, Marilyn. If you want to check that, and this is going to sound a little gross, but people have fun with this, so I'm going to throw it out there. If you crush them, they smell just like blue cheese dressing. So if you want to sniff your ants and confirm the identification, we can hold a second.
But, you like Roquefort dressing anyway. I mean, if you like Roquefort, smash those ants.
It's actually quite pleasing to the nose. But it's a very common ant, and they are very nomadic. So they move their nest sites around a lot. They are frequent invaders in the early spring.
So what should Marilyn do?
Well, they respond to baits very well. So if you pick up some baits at the store and put them out, you'll probably get good control of these.
Liquid baits work best.
Especially this time of the season, there's not a whole lot to forage on outdoors, so they're looking indoors, so whatever she puts out is what they're going to find.
Go forth and bait your kitchen and the bathroom, and good luck to you, Marilyn. Thanks so much for your call. That's how it works. It's easy. We do not bite. Some of these insects do. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR at 814. All right, I have lots of questions. Sean might have questions. Ann might have questions. But we want you to have this time with Shep and Mark, the pros from Rose at 800-966-ROSE, by the way, or rosepestsolutions.com. Let's go to Lori in Troy. Good morning, Lori.
Good morning. How are you?
I am excellent. I hope you're well.
I'm doing well. Love your show, Paul.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. What can we do to help you, Lori?
Well, I have had wasps going into my hedges and my yews in my front and backyards, and I wanted to know, is there something I can spray or put near the yews and the hedges so the wasps don't go in there and build nests?
All right, a quick question that will help a lot of people with this answer. What about the wasps?
Sure. So, and this is going on right now, Lori, is that correct?
You know, I forgot your name, but
Mark. I'm here to help.
It's Mark.
Mark. Yeah, sorry about that.
They're actually both named Mark, but we call one Shep and the other Mark. And I can't explain that to you on the radio, but that's it.
Okay, Shep and Mark, last fall, and then also in the spring, I had 2 huge nests in the hedges, wasp nests in the hedges and near the yews, and I couldn't cut them because the bees were coming out to bite me.
The picture's coming into focus here. Okay, I think we can offer some advice. So we're definitely talking about yellow jackets, it sounds like here. They build a big paper nest, and they get awfully aggressive as the season progresses. So right now, it's just the queen yellow jackets out there getting started. But if they establish in those same bushes, they will absolutely build big nests and harass you in a couple of months. So the thing to do, well, one is if you have dense hedges, they love that. So you can potentially do some pruning of the hedges, but there isn't really a great repellent product. The key is just vigilance early in the season because they start off really small and they're easy to control. Anyone can do it early in the season.
And those nests don't get reused. So the large nest left over from last year, it's done and gone. You could go out and knock it down with impunity. It's always a little scary for people the first time they do that.
Sure it is.
But they don't reuse them, so it'll be a new one.
Lori, I hope that helps you. That's a quick question for spring cleanup. How do you prepare your house to reduce the number of insects that want to come into your house? Is there something for spring cleanup that we should know?
Oh, yes, and the perhaps the most important thing is to rake everything away from around the perimeter of the house. That's where a lot of those populations build up that are going to come walking in through the coming months. So if you get things raked out, dried out, aired out, let the sun shine in, that can do a world of good.
All right, Shep, thanks for that. Chuck in Owasso, you're on WJR. Morning, Chuck.
Good morning, Paul, Shep and Mark. Nice to hear you guys this morning. Listen, I'm not calling to report a pest problem this morning. I'm calling to report why we at the Wrought Iron Grill in Owasso, Michigan, don't have a pest problem. Our restaurant has been open for 14 years, and since day one, the pros from Rose have been our pest prevention providers. That's what I call them.
Isn't that nice?
And I can tell you why we like them. Number one, they have done a great job in controlling our pests to make sure we don't have any. Number two, they're always on time. Number three, anytime we have ever had to make an off-schedule call, they're there no later than the next day.
Wow.
So we appreciate the good work they do for us, and I recommend them to your listeners.
Chuck, what's that name of that restaurant again?
It's the Wrought Iron Grill, WROUGHTIRON Grill in Owasso.
Excellent. Well, these guys are almost speechless, except Mark and Shep are never speechless. But that's a nice call to get, guys.
Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah,
Appreciate your business.
You're very welcome. You guys do a good job for us, and Armando is the guy that is your local rep here, and he's a great technician.
He certainly is.
Great to hear. Thanks, Chuck. Very nice. Rick, Saline, what do you have here? Some ground moles?
Yeah, I've got ground moles that burrow through the yard and create dirt piles, and it seems like every year it gets worse and worse throughout the yard.
Gentlemen?
Oh, well, moles are just part of being in the ground, actually. So it's commonly thought that they're just coming to eat the grubs. That's not exactly true. Moles live in the soil like fish live in the water, and they go around and they tunnel. They go where there's food, and they move where there's not. Really getting rid of moles should be done individually for the moles that you got. Trapping is the best way. We do that.
Yeah, what confuses people with mole control is typically what causes the most turf damage is what we call their exploratory runs. That's where they're just out foraging for worms and grubs and such. But really, where you want to place traps, if you were thinking about doing this yourself, is you look for the main runs. Those are the tunnels that get pushed up just about every day. And that's kind of their super highway where they go to find new foraging runs. So you got to put your traps on the main runs, which are often against foundations or fence lines or another structural feature.
Good advice. Good luck to you, my friend, Rick, there in Saline with his moles. More questions coming our way at 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. And Mark and Shep will stick around even after 9 o'clock. So if you're on the phone waiting, after 9 o'clock, they'll take your call and they'll answer your questions. So you won't get shut out. But now's the time to call as we continue on WJR. Mark Shepardigian, we call Shep, and Mark Vanderwerp, we call, instead of Werp, we call you Mark.
I will answer to anything.
All right, well, that's good to know. Now, I just caught, coming back into the studio, shamelessly trying to get free information, which is what our listeners are doing, but that's not shamelessly. We invite you to do that. But Sean Belegian was telling a story about, what did you have in your house? You didn't say weasels.
Yes, a weasel. We had a weasel a few years ago, like a legitimate
weasel.
weasel.
A weasel in your house?
A weasel. It was the winter of 13-14, the one that had so much snow and lasted until April. And the technician that we talked to said that particular winter he had seen the strangest things in houses because it was so cold and so snowy, everything's trying to any way they can get into a house. And I'm sure you guys see things like that all the time.
We do.
We see weird stuff in this industry. It's unbelievable.
That would just scare the bejesus out of me. I mean, a weasel.
A weasel? They're not very big. Well, as scary things go, weasels aren't high on that list.
Really?
Really.
I guess maybe.
I'll never forget that smell they left, though.
Oy. On that happy note, let's go to Bob in Livonia. Robert, welcome to WJR with the pros from Rose.
Hi, good morning. Love your show.
Thank you, Bob.
We've had a problem in Livonia the last couple of years, especially bad with gypsy moths. And they eat all the leaves on trees. They drop them in my pool. I've had to close the pool for a month at a time because they just absolutely make a mess. And I'm wondering if there's anything we could do about them.
What can you do about gypsy moths?
Wow, gypsy moths, and they have been bad the last few years. It's 5 degrees off our our focus there, gypsy moths are a tree pest. You will find that there's a couple of times during the year that you really got to treat them. Right now, they're all hanging out as eggs that are going to hatch and climb up the trees, and that's where things are going to start. So if you're going to get a treatment for them, it should be early. Usually, it's a community-wide kind of thing. Go on. I think MDAR, Department of Ag, has a website devoted to gypsy moths, or at least MSU Cooperative Extension does, and you can get a lot of information on what you need to be doing and to best take care of them there, because they can be bad.
Good luck to you on that, Bob, and anyone else facing gypsy moths. Todd is in Port Huron. Apparently has all kinds of pests invading his home. Welcome to WJR, Todd.
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
I'm excellent. I hope you're well.
I am.
Good.
So anyways, my family, we built our log home probably 25 years ago up in Port Huron, and we've raised our 4 kids there, but we also host a number of insects as a habitat. So it's more than just our family. We struggle with stink bugs. We have ladybugs. This weekend, my daughter said she had 3 bees in her bedroom. We've had pantry moths that we've struggled with. Ants, I've used that powder with a billow for ants and dusted them, and that seems to help when we start to get some ants in the house. But I didn't know. We redid the house and refinished it about 2 years ago. We put an insect repellent as part of the finish product, a preservative on the wood. But we've also got carpenter bees on the outside that we battle all the time. I dust the holes and plug them with corks. So any suggestions from the pros at Rose?
Well, there's a lot to sink our teeth into there. A couple of things you mentioned are very closely related and why they're showing up in the structure, and they're not there to infest wood. So you mentioned the Asian lady beetles, some of the other occasional invaders, as we generally refer to those. These things are just filtering into the space through cracks and seams, and so doing some exclusion if possible, and by that we mean sealing up small gaps and cracks and putting door sweeps on and this kind of thing. Could make a pretty big difference in a lot of those pests you just mentioned. Not so much the carpenter bees.
Certainly the stink bugs and the and boxelder bugs and the ladybugs and those kinds of things are overwintering, and you'll find that they're coming in late summer, early fall, and their goal is to find a quiet place to spend the winter. So if you go around the exterior of your home looking for cracks and crevices, the kinds of things that they'll walk into, they're looking for high contrast. So a dark line that represents a space between a fascia and the wall, that kind of thing, or in between 2 cracks where the chinking may be coming apart. Those are the kinds of things you got to look at and make sure those are sealed up.
For the carpenter bees, dust them before you see them. They actually use the same galleries year after year after year. And so I'm guessing if you're not getting good control, you're probably waiting a little too long before you hit those. Hit them right now. It's perfect timing.
Good timing, Todd. Hope that helps. Helen is in Waterford and on the Paul W. Smith Show at WJR with the pros from Rose. Good morning, Helen.
Yeah. Hi, Paul, Matt, and Matt. Is that what it is?
Mark and Mark.
Sorry.
And
I won't
Sean.
Respond to anything.
And Rick Burkhart, the salesman.
And Sean and Rick. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, my problem is I have crickets that hide out in like this decorative stone, the white pea stones or whatever they're called. And the people that I bought the house from, they're around the buildings, they're in a driveway, and there's just numerous crickets, and sometimes they get in the house and drive me crazy.
Wow. A couple things you could do, especially with the pea stones. Rake the pea stones away and put that elsewhere and put in a much finer mulch that they can't get into, and that'll sometimes change a lot of things.
Well, that sounds easy, but...
Well, it's not if you've ever had to go out and rake up the pea gravel. Sometimes it's better to have somebody else do it.
Okay. So that's the solution, huh?
Probably the best solution. Crickets are a furry woodland creature. They just live outside, and when they get a population really close to your house, then they start leaking in. We refer to them as occasional invaders because they only occasionally invade. It's like when nature leaks into your house. So if you can keep them sealed out, look for door sweeps that are missing, for gaps that insects could get into. If you can seal those up, you can keep a lot of things out.
Go forth and seal, Helen. Thank you. Darren in Webberville, your turn.
You kind of already touched on it, Boxelder Bugs, and I will look for the cracks and crevices, but is there anything we can do in the fall or something to prevent the population out in the grass and stuff? I see them by the hordes.
You like see them in your mulch and such?
I see them up in the grass or around the boxelder trees. And, this time of year in the living room, we've just taken to naming them. There's so many we don't even, it's like, hey, George.
Hopefully you've got a long litany of names to go after there. Yes, so these are seed feeders when it's during the warm season, and so what they're undoubtedly going after, like you mentioned, the box elder seeds, or also maples are closely related tree species, and so silver maple seeds also make perfect food for these. So certainly picking some of these up if when you're mowing, if you bag and remove some of the seeds, that will reduce some food. But the adults fly and they can come in from a distance. So obviously sealing up the structure, treating the outside in the fall, all good things to do.
Good luck to you, Darren. And we've got more callers standing by. We're going to get to you at 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. The pros from Rose at 800-966-ROSE when they're off the air here. If you're in line while they're on the air, they'll finish with your call in the studio here and make sure your questions get answered. You can always go to rosepestsolutions.com as well. As we continue on our famous Rose Hour on WJR at 8:45. All righty, taking your calls with the pros from Rose, 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. And I know the Ives family well, and I know Jim is in charge now in the family, and Russ, also a great guy, has retired. But now the fourth generation is coming up, guys.
They are.
It's exciting.
Coming on strong.
Fourth generation, 160-year-old company. And by the way, they're hiring. So it's a pretty good company to work for as well. And you can call them at 800-966-ROSE or go online to rosepestsolutions.com if you need their services. But maybe you can inquire about a job there, too, because it's a great job with great opportunities in many areas of the footprint of Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. Right now, we're with the pros from Rose, Mark and Shep. Both of them have the first name of Mark, but we go by Shep and Mark. And Dave, or I'm sorry, what did you say, Brian? You said Judy. Judy is in Chelsea. Dave, I promise we'll get to you. But Judy is here from Chelsea. And she has a problem with squirrels depositing nuts under the hood of her car. Those squirrels should get their nuts out of these. Well, never mind. Guys, yeah, I understand. I've had my own problems with squirrels. Had nothing to do with their nuts, but they were annoying. But anyway, what about these nut-delivering squirrels, and why would they be putting them under the hood of her car?
Well, so squirrels like to cache nuts. That means they just grab all the nuts they can find, and then they stick them places. They're also the ones that dig the little holes in your yard as little caches. And they don't find many of the things that they cache, but, just in case we happen to come this way again.
They forget about where they've hidden them? That's hilarious.
Well, they don't, not the biggest brains on those things, but boy, are they acrobatic. This is probably going to rub some people the wrong way, but honestly, a misbehaving squirrel is best solved by killing it, trapping it. So find a kid with a pellet gun and just have them not aim towards your car, and that can be a great way to solve that particular problem, because squirrels typically are pretty territorial, and it's probably the same one that's misbehaving.
I don't like squirrels, and I had a problem at my old house with squirrels. I had to call you guys, and you came and took care of the problem, but you didn't show up with guns. You just
no, we don't do that. You would live trap them. I mean, you can live trap the squirrel too. You can do that, but then you have to have somebody deal with it. And what you don't want to do is live trap it and then take it someplace far away and release it. That's probably it sounds like a nice thing to do because that's what you would want them to do with you. But usually you're just letting them go into a hostile territory.
I know that squirrels would not be kind to me. They used to make fun of me. They used to be belligerent to me. They'd eat through my trash cans, and I'd come out, and they'd stand at the bottom of the stairs going, I really have a thing with squirrels. Let's go to Dave in Berlin Township. Dave, welcome to WJR and the Pros from Rose.
Nice show. Thank Thank you, gentlemen. I have a problem with woodchucks. They're like moles, 10 times bigger, make 6-inch holes all over. Buildings on the farm, they just get all over the place there. And I've tried trapping them. One tore up the trap I had. Another time, they won't eat any bait because raccoons I can catch by the dozen. They burrow into walls, everything else. Give me some good suggestions how to get rid of them.
Woodchucks. How do we get rid of a woodchuck?
Woodchucks are tough. Generally, we trap them out and do them individually. And if there are so many that they're constantly coming in, that can be difficult. I've never heard that.
Yeah, there are both live and lethal traps that you can use for woodchucks. If you're using any of the lethal traps, so you do have to be careful. Those are big animals, so any trap that can kill a woodchuck is also capable of taking out cats and dogs and doing some damage. So, sometimes it may be worth calling the professional for that one.
I think so. Dave, good luck to you. Alice in Clinton Township on WJR.
Yes. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Alice.
Love your program.
Thank you.
I have these tiny little flies flying around. My daughter thought it might be from a plant that the roots are rotting, but no, I don't think they are. They're in the kitchen, bathroom, living room, and bedroom. I just, they're really, really little. They would fit probably through a screen hole.
My.
That's small.
That is small.
I have a bunch of them on a piece of tissue that I was going to show to somebody, but
that's the right thing to do. There are a number of small little flies out there, and the first thing you got to figure out is which one is it, because that makes all the difference in the world. There are what they call fungus gnats, dark-winged fungus gnats. I don't know who named that. Clever bunch, those entomologists, but they have dark wings and they're fungus gnats. And we generally see those develop in overwatered plants, which is why somebody would say, house plants. They're 90% of the time we see those. There's some house plants around that have been overwatered, and the way to figure that out is move all the plants and see if the flies move. If they don't, it's not them. There are other flies that people unfortunately call fruit flies. They're small fruit flies is what they are, vinegar flies that develop in the bananas, the fruit, those kinds of things. And those you'll see in kitchens, not so much in bathrooms. There are some other little flies that come out of drains if the drains haven't been used often enough and the traps dry out. So making sure that all your floor drains are full of water, like in basements and such, that can help too. Best thing, identify the flies. Then we can figure it out.
Good luck to you there, Alice. I would suggest calling the pros from Rose. The folks that are still online will get their questions answered off air, but you can call the pros from Rose at 800-966-ROSE, 800-966-ROSE, or online, go to rosepestsolutions.com, rosepestsolutions.com. I wish we had more time because we never did get into some of the other issues, the Asian tiger mosquitoes or the Joro spider, some new spider. I hate spiders. Next time we'll cover those, guys. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Appreciate your expertise.
Plenty of bugs to go around.
It's Mark D. Shepherd-Egan and Mark Vanderwerp, the pros from Rose. And thank you for being with us. Go on out and make it a great rest of the day. I know you will. As we stand by for news and All Talk with Tom and Kevin coming up. Regards, Paul W. Smith. Regards, Paul W. Smith. Regards, Paul W. Smith. Regards, Paul W. Smith.